All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go on a little drive today. Want to give a shout out, as always, to the GMs and the wives, the godly men, and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. Now, in today's video, what I want to talk about, as we kind of go through a drive here in the snow here, sometimes I like to go in the drive in the snow because I like to think a little bit, and the roads aren't too bad, so I figured I might as well go for a little drive and see how things go. But in today's video topic, I want to talk about why it's important to always start back from the basics, and to always start from the basics whenever you're in doubt about anything. You see, oftentimes when we are going through the ringer of life, we always come back to the basics in the end. And I never understood this for a long time. At least I never understood the significance of it, but when I was in martial arts, we would do the basics every single day. Every single day we would do the basics. And I kind of got bored for a while after that. I didn't like doing the basics. I didn't like doing all of that kind of boring stuff over and over again. And looking back in my time there, I now understand what exactly the point of going back to the basics was, because my Kung Fu instructor taught us that martial arts problems are life problems. And so I always had a hard time going back to the basics. I wanted to continue to thrive in other things and do all the fancy stuff that I kind of really wasn't ready for, but I always wanted to keep doing things. I always wanted to keep trying new things. I didn't like going back to the basics a lot. And nowadays, the basics are the things that I rely on the most. And that taught me an important lesson about life and efficiency and everything of the sorts. Because if you're not going back to the basics every once in a while, if not every single day, then in many ways you're going to fall behind. Well, how is that the case, and what does that have to do with life? Well, a lot of the times people get so caught up in trying to do things that the things themselves just kind of eliminates any opportunity for growth, because they're so focused on what they're not doing instead of what they're actually doing. They're so focused on the horizon that they don't understand what's actually just right here in front of them. And so you'll see like a lot of people on the roads at this time of year, and I've lived in the mountains pretty much my whole life. And so I'm kind of used to the snow and I know how to drive in it. But you'll see a lot of people that are kind of crazy in the snow here. And it's because they don't know how to drive. They think that they can drive the same when there's no snow, all when you can actually just it's actually not going to be possible to do the kinds of things that you do in the snow. And in life, sometimes we have to turn into the skid, right? And that's the whole essence in snow driving too. Whenever you're in a skidding situation and you're kind of skidding around, what they teach you is to turn into the skid. And if you've ever been in like a church parking lot or something, and you've always wanted to try to do like donuts or something, you'll understand this pretty quick. I'm not advocating for that kind of behavior, by the way, I'm just saying. So when you turn into the skid, sometimes in life we have to turn into the skid to understand the deeper meaning behind what's actually going on in front of us. Sometimes we're so confronted with problems and issues and ways of being that we're not accustomed to all the time. And that's okay, but in that being unaccustomed to how to live in certain conditions, that's when we're really exposed to who we are. Who really are you when the tough times come? Who really are you when the work needs to be done? Who really are you when you need to turn into the skid? You know, that's just kind of the way things operate and things go in life here. And a lot of the times, being efficient is going to be, and consistent, is going to be the most important aspect of anything. If you're not consistent in learning how to drive in the snow, for example, if you're not consistent in learning how to talk to people, if you're not consistent in learning how to build a business, if you're not consistent in how to do anything, working out, eating right, all of those different kinds of things, if you're not consistent, it's going to be really hard for you to catch on to the nuances of how to operate in life. But consistency is going to be your best friend, and learning how to live life in accordance to the circumstances and to accept the circumstances for what they are, well, you'll be ahead of a lot of different kinds of people, because most people are so much in a hurry to get from one place to another, or to get from here to there. This is something else my Kung Fu instructor also talked about, and I thought it was pretty cliche at the time. You know, it's about the journey. It's about the journey. And sure, it's about the journey, but I want to get to the destination. That was my thought. It's like, I'm trying to get to where I need to go. But sometimes life circumstances aren't going to allow you to get to the destination in the time that you want to get to the destination. So what exactly do you do? Well, you have to learn patience, of course. You have to learn understanding. You have to learn how to accept things with a stoic-like mindset, and be determined and stay hungry. But here's the other key. Because if you're hungry for worldly things, you're going to get spiritual problems. I learned that the hard way too. I was always so focused on trying to achieve things that I eventually became super lazy, because I thought, well, what's the point of even achieving anything? What's the point of even achieving all of these things? I was pretty nihilistic at one point. And I thought, well, what's the point of being and doing all these things and getting all these achievements if in the end nobody really gives a damn? What's the point? And so I got pretty nice, or not, I guess in a way it was a bit of a narcissistic viewpoint, but it was also very nihilistic. And we're all narcissistic to some degree. You have to have some kind of form of healthy narcissism, otherwise you're going to just have people walking all over you and treating you like crap. But then there comes the point to where you're too narcissistic and you're pushing away the opportunities before you, and that's exactly what I was doing. But in also a way, I was codependent. I was codependent with how to live life. I was always so focused on trying to people please and trying to get something or give something so that I could get something. I was never trying to just to give. And this was something I really learned something big with women. Because whenever I was flirting with them, or whenever I was trying to talk to them, I always had some kind of goal in mind of either making out with them, or whenever I took them on a date, I was expecting some kind of form of intimacy afterward. And now I know that I don't even need to take a girl out on a date in order to make an emotional connection with her. And I don't even need to spend money on a woman if I want to be intimate with her. Now, does that mean I'm going to go around and be a homemaker? No, I'm not going to do that. But I do understand that sometimes the best way to talk to women is to just talk to them, to not expect anything from them, and to not really care about the outcome either way. Know what you want going into it, but if it doesn't happen, well, it doesn't happen. So there's really no need to do anything about it. Like, you just accept the circumstances and go on to the next one that actually wants you, or that actually wants to build something with you. And of course, in this society that we live in today, that's going to be pretty hard to find. And I don't even like the phrasing of that. Hard to find. It's going to be hard to create, because ultimately we're not going to be able to find anything in this world. We've got to create it. One thing I've learned with finances is one thing I've learned with relationships. It's one thing I've learned with myself in general, and just my own self-confidence. But all in all, I've gotten to a place to where I feel like I've got a handle on things. It may not be exactly the way I like it, or exactly the way I want it, but it's pretty much what I want and what I desire in my life at this time, and I couldn't be more grateful to God for it. And so, as you do what you do, you just got to stay consistent and not really expect anything, and prepare for the worst possible outcome. And in your preparation, you'll trust that if anything does happen, well, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. There's no need to try to get anything in this life. But life, don't make no mistake about it, life is a game. And it's up to you whether or not you want to play it. If you don't want to play it, that's fine. You don't have to play it. But if you're one of the people that do want to play it, well, then you're going to have to learn how to play the game of life and learn the rules of life, so that you can operate in the mode of being in which best serves yourself for the game in life that you want to play. Jordan Peterson has talked a little bit about this, how life is a series of games. It's a game within games. It's a good way to think about it. And it's helped me understand more about what I want and what I'm looking for in my own life, and how to get what I want. That was another thing I was really strung up about when I was younger. Following this this nihilistic and non-opportunistic outlook. I guess opportunistic isn't quite the right word, but it was more just a nihilist existentialist view of, well, why do anything at all? Why do anything at all if it doesn't matter? That's part of the game, though. It does matter. Like, everything matters. I thought nothing mattered. Turns out, everything you do matters. And everything that you do is going to build or create or destroy the life that you want. And a lot of people self-sabotage because they don't even know what they want. They don't know how to get what they want. It's kind of sad, actually, when you think about it. Because if you don't know how to get what you want, it's going to be hard to live the life that you actually desire. And here's the other thing. I was scared to actually get what I wanted, because I always associated getting what I want with a punishment. With my childhood and the way I grew up, I figured that, well, if I get what I want, every time I get what I want, I get punished. It was like I was constantly put down for actually getting achievements. And so for a long time, I was trying to get so many achievements and try to do so many things to just please my parents. So much so that I pretty much gave up on myself. And then when I was about 22, 23 years old, and I had my spiritual awakening and I realized that I still have a life to live. That was when I found and remembered myself again. But I also learned that I needed to learn how to create the man that I wanted to be. And that doesn't come just by playing around. That actually takes some serious work. It actually takes some serious recognition of who you are and what you are actually after. And so by the time that I got into my early 20s, I finally made the decision that I was worth it. That's a big thing. You got to make the choice that you're worth it. You've got to make the choice that you're actually worth what you say you are. And you've got to ask yourself if you're true to your wants and needs and desires in life. Because if you're not, well then you might as well not even try. But to not try is going to be worse. Because if you don't even try, then it's going to be very challenging for you to actually want to live. It is something that I encounter with a lot of people that I talk to. It's like so many people are spiritually dead and they've pretty much given up on life without even realizing that they've given up. And it's like, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to not know how to find the spiritual fire within you and keep that fire lit. Well, what exactly does it take? It takes a vision, and it takes strategizing every single day to get to your destination. But to also, as my Kung Fu instructor said, you got to enjoy the journey, man. If you don't enjoy the journey, you're not gonna be able to enjoy anything else. And you know, it's kind of funny. I was never I wouldn't say that I'm at the pinnacle of my success by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just getting started. But I have to admit, in many ways, I miss being that young kid that was really trying to wrestle with God in his own way, in his own right. Because now that I do have my relationship with God, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so eternally grateful for my relationship with God. But at the same time, I remember what it's like to be that person really struggling and challenging and trying to just see what's out there, man. Like, just see what's going on in life. Like, what is this really all about? What does life really have to offer? And what can I really get out of this life that's going to make my life even better? Because that's ultimately the mindset that I learned I had to have, is that I need to put myself at my own mental point of origin in order to have any kind of success. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I got some errands to run. I've got some shopping to do. And peace be with you. Till next time.